All right, we move on to the world of college football now. We'll get our first look at breaking down these rankings, even though these are the week two of the college football playoff rankings. But we already do have a shakeup. We have a dropout out of the top four as the Michigan State Spartans took the L to Purdue this weekend, so they dropped down to 7. So now you got Georgia, Alabama still staying at 1 and 2. Oregon moves up to 3. Ohio State moves up to 4, and then Cincinnati and Michigan, the first two out. Michigan State right behind them. And undefeated Oklahoma stays at number 8 as they did not play this weekend. Drink. We also got 4 new interests down towards the bottom of the rankings. But break it down for us. What stands out to you in these rankings?
Well, let me go ahead and get the spring cleaning out the way, as they say. Maybe that's what's called it fall cleaning. Let's go ahead and get Georgia out the way. It's pretty clear Georgia is number 1. No need to get stuck on that point. It's Georgia, then it's the rest of the nation right now. It is what it is. So we'll start with the hottest topic here, 2 through 5. Let's say 2 through 6. One of the biggest things I'm hearing right now is, oh my God, Alabama number 2 again. We seen them flaunting around against a depleted LSU. Cool. All right. But here's the problem with that. Okay, put Oregon number 2. But I can tell you the same thing about Oregon because they floundered around with a 4-loss Washington. Oh, put Ohio State. Oh, the same Ohio State that was struggling with Nebraska. Oh, okay, cool. Put Cincinnati. Cincinnati undefeated. Yes, they are. But they was just struggling with Tulsa. And then they were just struggling with Navy the week before. So
And Tulane the week before.
And Tulane before that. So, okay, so you telling me you want to penalize, because Cincinnati is the team. Oh, Cincinnati, they're getting robbed. So you want to penalize Alabama for being in the SEC, Oregon for being in the Pac-12, Ohio State for being in the Big Ten, all because Cincinnati is in the AAC. So you want to penalize those teams because Cincinnati play inferior opponents? I don't think that's the answer, Chief. Here's the thing. To be honest with you, Georgia, it's such a gap with Georgia right now. It don't really matter with 2 through 7 because right now everybody is saying Alabama gonna play Georgia in the SEC championship. How many people are saying, well, Alabama might beat them? Nah, that's not what you're hearing right now. You're hearing, yeah, they're gonna play, but it's looking like Georgia gonna be out here handing out business cards, right? So it's the same thing with Georgia and anybody else on the rest of this roster. Rest of this ranking. You say the same thing with Oregon. Georgia will be favored over 14 points probably over every team on this. I'm sorry, but listen, Ohio State got a high-powered offense, but their defense ain't going to be good enough. Like, Alabama got a good offense, but their defense is not good enough. Oregon, I'm not really sure which side of the ball is their strength, but it's just not going to be good enough. You see what I'm saying? And I know damn well you're not going to try to sell me on Cincinnati putting up a fight against Georgia. Man, please. Man, please. So, the first thing I wanted to just make sure I say is, for people that's crying about number 2, what's a realistic number 2 in this ranking? Well, who's realistically number 2? If you do process of elimination, you kind of go with Bama just because, 1, they play in the better conference, and 2, they are 8-1. Yeah, you can say what you want about Texas A&M. Texas A&M knocking on the door as being a top 10 team.
Right, and that. To me, like the Alabama point is probably something we would have covered in depth last week because I think that was like coming into that week. It was like, man, what Bama just they got 1 loss. You had Michigan State on the come up. Michigan was hot in there. Now that those teams are kind of taking a step back, Ohio State, their losses to Oregon, Oregon's losses to Stanford. Like the whole A&M loss, yeah, they lost to A&M when A&M, like nobody expected A&M to do anything.
Right.
But like that was still like a preseason top 10 team.
Right.
So, and it looked like they starting to figure it out a little bit now.
Right.
So I'm not mad at all.
I
think, and my eyes tell me Georgia's the best team, Bama's the second best team, and then I think we can debate it from there. I think 1 and 2 is there's no question about it.
And granted. I think Joel Klatt, he asked this question, what's the difference between Alabama and Ohio State? Well, Alabama playing the SEC, I don't know what to tell you. Like, what do you mean, what's the difference? They recruit at the same level. They got high-level talent at all the positions that matter. And they both lost the game early in the season. Now, yes, Ohio State loss is better as of right now anyway than Alabama's loss. But let's say Texas A&M was number 10. You would okay. Would it really be better? Because then it would be Alabama lost to Ohio State. Alabama lost to Texas A&M at Texas A&M, 102,000, College Station, the 12th man. You know what it is. Ohio State lost to Oregon at home.
Right.
In front of how many of us they hold, but you was at home.
And it ain't been until recently, I think, before the Nebraska game, Ohio State, they've been playing better.
Mm-hmm.
They've been starting to really, blow some people out. But like early on in the season, that didn't look like a playoff team. I mean, you go back to week 1 against Minnesota, didn't look like a playoff team. Obviously, you lose to Oregon, but it took Ohio State some time to get going. Like Alabama comes out week 1 and they throttle Miami. And they generally been throttling people. This game against LSU was kind of an outlier.
Nick. You said we had a good week of practice. If that's a good week, I hate to see a bad week because I don't know what was good about the practice, but nobody came to play. I mean, we couldn't. The field goal holder was struggling. I mean, he couldn't get the ball on the ground right. Missed a field goal and an extra point because of that. What could went wrong, right? So I just wanted to throw that out there. Now, something else I wanted to talk about. Okay, so Michigan and Michigan State. Just 9 days ago, Michigan State beat Michigan. Good game, slobber knocker as Jim Ross called it. Michigan State won. Michigan State in the last ranking was number 3 due to that. Now they lose to Purdue this weekend, and now they're behind Michigan at 6 and 7. How do you see that? Do you think the committee got it right, or would you like to see it the opposite way?
At face value, and we talked about it a little bit before the show, I don't think you necessarily mind Michigan being in front. I don't know if I really mind, but I will say it does seem to be a little bit inconsistent because Oregon's in front of Ohio State by virtue that they beat Ohio State pretty much. Because if you look at the whole, what's the best loss? I mean, Ohio State got the better loss because they lost to Oregon, but Oregon lost to Stanford. Mm-hmm. So I do like going with the team that won the head-to-head in most cases. So in that sense, if it were my rankings, and unless I'm missing something in Michigan's resume, which I don't think I am. We was waiting for the Michigan State game to see, all right, can we tighten up these khaki pants a little bit? And is this the Jim Harbaugh year? And no, it's not. So I'd probably put Michigan State at 6. I probably would, but I'm not gonna lose sleep over it because you know what's gonna happen. They're gonna come out here and lose to Ohio State in the end, at this point I probably would have Michigan State above Michigan. I think I would.
Auburn lost. They went from 13 to 17.
I don't think that's news.
It's not, but I'm about to get into something here. Right? They lost to Penn State. They got the same record. Penn State is not ranked because of why?
They lost to Illinois too. Penn State. I ain't gonna lie, he threw me a curveball there, folks. I wasn't even expecting Penn State questions. Because I saw that too. I was like, man, Penn State ain't in here. Well, I guess I don't need to be looking at why they ain't not in here. Yeah, but I'll go back to what I said. I feel like I said it last week or a couple weeks ago. Remember that Iowa Penn State game, 2 versus 3. This one's for something. This gonna be one. Iowa's at 20th right now. They didn't. Kirk Ferentz right back where he should be. That's almost spectacular in some way. And then we was talking about. Remember how we was talking about Michigan. They got Michigan State coming up. They got Penn State. They got Ohio State. We're going to find out about them. Well, I guess they got Michigan State and Ohio State. Because if they beat Penn State, what am I going to say? Yeah. Same thing when they beat Wisconsin, right? But in retrospect, I guess, the Wisconsin game might be helping them now because Wisconsin back to playing good ball. They're sliding here at 18th. Right. But the other thing is, so Michigan, the other thing I would say that helps Michigan State is because they lost to Purdue. Purdue's now 19th in these rankings. So, I mean, your losses to Purdue, they're in the rankings, and you beat Michigan. I think the more I think about it, the more I think I'd have Michigan State in front of Michigan.
So it's safe to say Michigan State gonna be rooting for Purdue this weekend when they play Ohio State.
Yes.
Nah, but
What about this? The one thing that continues to stand out as it did in the last rankings, the committee don't seem to have a lot of respect for the Big 12. How do you see that?
listen, you have to ask yourself because I think you're referencing Oklahoma here. Oklahoma been in the same spot for like at least the last 2 weeks of the rankings.
Yeah, they've been 8th the last 2 weeks.
My thing is this: if you look at Oklahoma totality, who have they played to make you think otherwise? Most of the teams in front of them, you can go to a singular game and say, well, Alabama lost to Texas A&M, but now in hindsight, Texas A&M looks like this. Oregon lost to Stanford, but in hindsight, Oregon got the best win against Ohio State, et cetera, et cetera. You can say that. Even Michigan, you can say, well, Michigan, played Michigan State to like a one score game, whoop. Okay, cool. My thing with Oklahoma is this: you out here flopping around with Kansas, you flopping around with Tulane. If you're gonna flop around with those teams, the thing that helps you the most is you beat what we would consider a contender or a powerhouse team, and then we can say, yeah, they flopped around with them teams, but
We got some good wins.
you remember when they played such and such and beat them? You remember they played such and such? Now, the meat and potatoes of Oklahoma's schedule is coming up. We know they Oklahoma State,
They got Baylor,
Baylor,
they got
and
Iowa State
and
as
Iowa
well.
State.
I think that's where if they keep winning, they're gonna move up because some of these teams are gonna fall. Like
Right.
the Big Ten thing. Like I think likely what'll happen is Michigan and Michigan State drop off.
Right.
Because I think something tells me it's gonna be Ohio State that comes out the Big Ten.
Right.
So I think those two Big Ten teams get out of there. And if Oklahoma's undefeated, they're gonna get in over undefeated Cincinnati.
But here's the deal: like you can't get mad at the committee because then, like you can't. Well, this bull crap. Well, they got Oklahoma State at 10, but I think Oklahoma State they beat Baylor, right? Or did they even play yet?
I don't think I pay attention much to them because the minute I start paying attention to them, that's when they lose and then they lost. So I think just to close out the Big 12 part, I think what the committee is saying in regards to Oklahoma, like we're just not gonna reward you just because you out here skating on by with these nail biting wins every week.
Right.
Like West Virginia's another example. Like they flop around against them in a Saturday night game. So, but I do think like their toughest tests are ahead of them, and if they pass those tests, that's when they're gonna move up.
Well, and here's the thing, right? You mentioned this before the show. If they go undefeated, like my thing is, it don't matter if they stay at number 8 for the next 3 rankings. It don't matter as long as they got the O in the other column, right? Because if they go undefeated, there's no precedent that has shown us that an undefeated Power 5 team won't make it to the playoffs. Everything has told us that's going to happen. So, with that said, I don't know. I don't think they got a lot of respect, and quite frankly, outside of the ACC, Big 12 ain't really done much to get respect. I mean,
Thank you for bringing them into play. I got to get back to something I was talking about last week. Hey, North Carolina, thank you, Matt Brown. Thank you so much for getting Wake Forest on out of here. I'm so grateful to you. Now we can stop the, is Wake Forest going to do it for they? No, they're not. They're not doing it. We saw it. They fraudulent. And the ACC, they not getting nobody. But I'm going to tell you, look, think about this. Let's just say, I think there could be a scenario where Oklahoma don't get in if they're undefeated. Because think about it. The four teams in front of them. If Georgia's going to get in, think about if Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC title game, both of those teams are in. What if Oregon and Ohio State went out too? Will an undefeated Oklahoma have a better resume and look past the eye test over Ohio State and Oregon? That's the scenario I think they could get left out.
Nah, man. I don't know. I don't see the committee not letting the undefeated Power 5 team. I don't see it. Big, because they would be the Big 12 champs. They'll be undefeated. One of those teams, one of those 4 teams won't. Georgia, Alabama won't be the SEC champ. But I would assume. I think the biggest thing, like you said, is Georgia has been so impressive. Even if they were to lose to Alabama, how do you not say they're one of the top
they're
4
getting
teams?
in. They're getting in.
But until I see it, I can't believe the committee.
That's gonna be a tough call though.
It's very
Between
tough. Very tough.
between likely it'd be between Oklahoma and Oregon, but that Oregon beating Ohio State that's gotta matter.
That's
And
not, especially if
that's why I
Ohio
think-
State go off to be the one loss
Yeah.
Big Ten champion. Then you damn right that's gonna matter.
And if Oregon's a one-loss Pac-12 champion, I think Pac-12, Big 12. I don't like. I know we take a dump on the Pac-12 seemingly every week,
Right.
but like, I mean, Oregon is the one program out there that like
Garnish
semi has
Right.
has that respect. So,
Right.
I mean, just thinking of, I think Oklahoma, they would have to be. I think they'd have to be highly impressive against some of these ranked teams. And I think, look, the committees right now they're saying we think we got Oregon above Ohio State. Can Oklahoma jump one of those teams? I don't. In the scenario I just laid out to you, I love scenarios. If Bama wins the SEC and they're both 12-1, them in Georgia, they're both getting in.
Okay.
Oregon, Ohio State went out. I think an undefeated Oklahoma team will get left out. I think they will. I think they do.
Yes.
We'll close it on that.